Hi there, welcome to Boxing Deep Dive. I'm Lyndon Hosking, and great to have you along for another episode of the Boxing Deep Dive weekly show. I'm going to bring in my co-host for tonight, Grant Tassie Brown and Peter Maniatis. How are we, guys?
We're good, mate. We're
Great
all
to be on
done.
the show,
We're ready
guys.
to go.
Been a bit happening in the boxing world lately, and it's good to have you back this week, Peter. Obviously, you were away last week with the Camo KO show. How'd that turn out for you?
Turned out all right. Great fight card. Saw a good kid, Caesar Afghan, who's with Jeff Fennick. He was very impressive. Joel had a 6-round TKO win over Giesler and won the WBO Oceania title. And real nice card. Good crowd, about 900 people there, all well behaved. And good night of boxing.
And Tassie, you had the forfeit win last week with the quiz. You're obviously looking forward to getting it done for real tonight.
Yeah, mate. Look, you know, I'm in a zone at the moment. Pete's like
The
my
zone.
little baby brother that I just spank on the bum and put him to bed early with the bottle. So I'm looking forward to doing it again tonight.
Tassie, it's different to say that because every time if I do win one, there's always an asterisk or it wasn't right. It was about movies.
That's right.
And when you win one, the champagne and the cup comes out.
A bit like every time Pacquiao wins, mate. Like there's always, if he loses, there's an asterisk why he lost, and this, that, the this, and
Well,
man,
guys,
the shoulder versus Mayweather shoulder.
I'm just blame slow Wi-Fi.
Well, we've got a little bit of that tonight in the Zerafa Hardman episode, to be honest, with the Zerafa with
the shoulder.
The shoulder, yeah. We'll talk a little bit more of that, but plenty going on with the world of boxing,
Pete,
especially Aussie boxing. We've got all the news on George Cambosis, Tim Tszyu. We've got the No Limit show. We've got the Billy Dibb, Jacob NG show coming up. Obviously, more world news as well. So plenty happening. Let's get straight into the Aussie news and. We're still a little bit in the dark. Last week, obviously, Pete, you weren't here, but before Tassie and I went to air, the Tim Tszyu news dropped that the fight was off. And at this point, Tassie, we still don't know what's happening. It's been over a week and no news yet.
Yeah, I haven't actually spoke to Tim this week. I've sort of let him be. I did read that they were looking at maybe another show like a week after the date, but I haven't heard anything. I don't know what show that'll be and how that would work, but I think Charlo Castana might not happen till probably April, maybe April, May. And another one in the mix, mate, one of the biggest names in boxing, Terence Crawford, said if I can't get Spence, give me Charlo, and that, well, that'll throw a spanner in the works because he's a big name. I know you got to do your mandatory, but if that was on the line, especially if Charlo won, you think he'd do a big money fight with Crawford. So I saw that mentioned, and that's interesting, I think.
Yeah, Pete, I was just going to say that it was mentioned. I mean, initially Tim said that he would jump in and take Castano's spot. I don't think that was going to happen at all, but you know, he still wanted that March 19 date. But, yeah, do you think the Crawford thing throws a spanner in the works? I think if one of them did fight, or the winner did fight Crawford, it would obviously not be for the undisputed title because obviously Tim would then be able to call the WBO out on his title. So it would probably be without that WBO title. But still, yeah, it does throw the spanner in the works just a little bit, doesn't it?
It does, but it's just talk, and you don't know how much of the talk's real and how much is hype and stuff till you see it for real. You just let it go through to the wicketkeeper. The current situation is, I mean, obviously Costano's injured and they're going to have to wait for dates because now with all these pay-per-view platforms, the big stuff up is UFC because they're running shows every week. They don't run shows once a month. They're going every week and they're getting 1 million hits every week. So you need to know which ones are the weaker ones to put these shows on, and everyone's flustering for those type of dates. And that's the issue. And let's be quite honest, Castano and Charlo ain't going to be doing massive pay-per-view buys.
Also, the date they mentioned, Lyndon, they clash with Valdez and Shakur Stevenson.
That's what I was just going to say. They initially said that April 30 might be the date, but obviously that's Stevenson and Valdez, so it ain't going to happen. And yeah, you would think if it's a torn bicep that it would be more than, you know, a 1 week or even a month setback. I would have thought maybe a couple of months. So look, we'll see what happens. Let's hope we find out soon for those of us that have booked tickets to go over to the fight. Let's hope we can work something out there and know what's going on. So
let's hope so.
We'll be there.
The good thing is, Lyndon.
Yeah, go ahead, mate.
And I was going to say the good thing about you, Lyndon, you're such an experienced boxing person. You don't book your tickets to the last minute, so you never get left holding the tickets.
I must admit, I haven't been to. The last time I went was 2019 for Canelo and Jacobs, I think it was, and before that I'd go 2 or 3 times a year. Was my outlet. But in my haste to my excitement that boxing was back and I was on my way to watching the boxing again, I went out and booked the ticket. And, I got caught. So, look, I don't think it'll be a drama to delay the flight. It might cost a little bit, but I'm sure I'll be fine. But, geez, a date would be handy because we're running out of time. So, we'll see what happens.
Hey, Lyndon.
Yeah.
Purely boxing, do you ever have a bit of a gamble in Vegas, or are you just purely boxing?
It's funny because when I go to Vegas, Vegas is my most favourite place in Earth, but I'm not a big drinker. I don't gamble at all. Might play a little bit of poker, but I don't gamble at all. As I said, I don't drink a lot. I'm not really a fan of the late nights and that sort of stuff, but I just love Vegas because it's all, for me, I go when the boxing's on. I go there
of course.
I'm at the weigh-ins and the workouts and all the press conferences and just being in the hub of, you guys have been there. You go to the foyer and there's boxing fans everywhere and you just talk boxing. That's what I love.
So you're the opposite to Peter. Peter's out. Wild nights on the strip, the bars, the strip clubs.
Have to set the alarm clock just to get up at 1 p.m.
Yeah, well, I must admit, I'm a bit of an old lady.
I'm getting home at 7 and need the alarm. 7 I need the alarm clock to get up at 1 p.m. with a hangover.
Yeah,
straight on the Barocas.
The Jasasi shirts and the suits and all that over, Pete. I just take the board shorts and a couple of t-shirts, and that's about all I take because that's.
Well, Lyndon, you know the movie. There's a trilogy sequels, The Hangover.
Yeah.
Actually based on Peter Maniatis' life.
Oh, come on.
Mr. Chow, or who is he?
Even the tiger.
Well, all right, let's keep on point because Tim Tszyu, this was put to him at some media, I think it was the launch the other day of No Limit, which we'll get to in a sec, but this is what he had to say about Charlo.
I told the boys make it happen, and that's all I'm waiting for. I'm just waiting for a date. My previous opponent could be still the guy that I'm fighting, so I'm just ready to go to America. That's where I've always been dreaming about. So I want to have a quality opponent in America. Charlo, he calls himself a lions only, like a lion. He's a little pussycat. That's all he is, and that's all I can say.
Tassie, he's a pussycat. That's a little bit of fighting word from Tim, but look, he's probably right. I mean, Charlo puts himself up there, says he'll fight anyone, disses anyone that, has a go at him about anything, but then Tim's like, hey, mate, I'm here. I can understand to some extent he wants the unified title. It's probably still the bigger money fight, but it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Mate, look, and Tim truly believes in himself. Like, if it wasn't for COVID, he would have been to America 2 years ago. He backs himself. He wants the bigger fights, and I think he'll rise the occasion. I mean, the guy who's meant to fight's already a good fight. Charlo is a bigger fight, but as I said, Tim believes in himself, and I back him all the way. It probably doesn't make sense for Charlo, which I understand that's a business, but Tim wants it, and when given the opportunity, I think Tim's going to take with both hands, and I think he's going to bring the belts back to Australia. I truly believe that.
Well, on No Limit, speaking of the day, had the launch the other day. And Pete, I was really a fan for this. I'll put on, this is just the roster of fighters that they have on deck there. Some pretty impressive fighters there. And you add the Jade Mitchells and those guys into it as well. And Dennis Hogan's and Wade Ryan's. And they've got a really good little stable going on. I'll put a little bit of video up on the night.
There's your mate Lyndon. He gets back to you quickly. You don't need to blink, and he's at your lap and doorstep.
All going. This is awesome. I love this. Really professional.
Pete, I love it. I love the fact that No Limit, you know, we thought they'd raise the bar as far as the shows and everything go, but they've just raised the bar as everything go. This is the sort of stuff we would see in America by Top Rank or maybe Golden Boy, one of these, but this is here in Australia. I love the fact they've had an official launch. You know, they've got all the bells and whistles, and I think they had a cocktail party or something. This is the way boxing needs to be done, isn't it? On the big time, on the big stage.
Yeah, for sure. They're definitely leading the way, and kudos to them. They've got a stack of shows planned as well.
Yeah.
I know there's a show in Melbourne that they've got planned in the middle of May.
Yep. Yeah.
So that could be interesting.
What do you reckon, Tassie? It's just it's a great way to launch the year. And that's all it was. It was just pretty much a launch of, here's our fighters and this is what we're going to do. I didn't actually put, I think George Rose spoke there as well, but I just think it's, as I said, taking it just to another level.
It's what Australian boxing needs. It's awesome, breath of fresh air. Loved it when I saw it. Very professionally done, very Americanised. This is their stable. These are their future stars of Australian boxing. You know, it's just awesome, mate. The boys they just got back from America. They went to the Super Bowl in the UFC. Mate, the Rose boys just keep raising the bar, mate. Hats off, kudos. I'm excited to see what the year brings. And just in that lineup there, some great talented fighters.
Yeah, and it doesn't include Liam Wilson, who I'm not sure why he wasn't there, but
probably because he's fighting maybe next week. Probably in trouble.
Sorry, good call.
But chuck him there as well. I think that's why he wasn't there, because he's in camp and he's got a very hard fight. So
same as Hogan.
But mate, this is awesome. The concept is great. It's a bit better than doing a few, you know, dips and chips at the Rudy Hill RSL club. Yep. This is really good.
Yeah, I love it. And I've got to say, I've got to give the prize to Nikita Zoo for the walkout. Love the Metallica part of it. Enough of all this pop and rap and all that sort of crap that fighters come out to these days. Give me a little bit of Metallica. I love it.
I see where Harry Garside's going down the Denny Green Road of the Land Down Under.
Well, that's his nickname, isn't it? Aussie Harry, I think it is.
And I'll give a shout out to his manager, my dear friend Peter Matreski, baby Matreski. Been in the game a long time, very good fighter, and he's a very good manager. He had Daniel Lewis, and he's very close to Paul Gallen. I'm not sure if he's the official manager, but he does a lot with Gallen, and he's got a good connection to No Limit Peter, baby Matreski.
Yep. Well, we're still on No Limit, Pete. This is the March 30 card that they had the press conference the other day. I'll get to some video in a second there, but I saw the live, you know, Facebook Live or whatever it was coming up, and you know, the No Limit. I thought, geez, well, this is going to be a big announcement. I must admit, when I got in there and I saw Pete, that there was a full-on press conference for this show. But geez, again, they don't do things by halves. Every show they do, we're going to get it out there and give these boys as much press coverage as we can.
Yeah, and they've got stacks of shows planned. I think they've got 10 TV dates for two, whatever. So every fighter wants 5 fights at least. So they're going to be multiplying a lot of fighters through there, and a lot of fighters that aren't with No Limit are still going to get TV dates.
And I didn't actually put the slide up, but I've got it in front of me here. So they've got March 2 Zoo style. March 8/April is a No Limit pay-per-view. So that's great. Garside and Matei, you can see there March 30th, and they've got Newcastle May 4th, Melbourne May the 18th, and another pay-per-view in June, July. So I love it, and the fact they've got their own concept now, No Limit on Fox, they've got their own name for their shows. I love it. I just think it's great, and I'm really looking forward to. We've spoken a few times when DNL get and Tasman Fighters get the ball rolling as well, because they're obviously going to have 4, 5, 6 shows as well. So to throw all that in the mix and to have something going on pretty much every month, I love it. I think it's awesome.
Well, they've got a world title fight, DNL.
Yeah.
So you don't get much bigger than that. So they've got Jai Pataya against Breeders. I mean, that's that's bigger than anything at the moment that's going on.
It is.
But look, it's just awesome, mate. Look,
Yeah.
DNL, they've been there and done it. Big props to Dean Lonergan. He pulled off the Pacquiao horn. He's done plenty since then. These guys are doing amazing as well. It's not a competition.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I think it's just awesome. And the only winners now are the Australian boxers that get a platform to fight on. Whether you're at the A or B side, you get a platform to be seen, and it's just great.
Yeah. I think, Pete, that for the fans, there's definitely no competition. Fans don't give a shit who promotes the show. They want to see the best fighters and the best fights. I could probably see there's going to be a little bit of competition between the promoters, though, when it comes to signing the best talent. But what a position for our young talent to be in. Is it No Limit or is it D&L? I'd love to have those choices if I was turning pro.
Yeah, let's wait and see. It's easy to say, though, but, most of the time, most of the fighters have got managers and they sign promotional contracts. So depending on what managers where, they tend to sign the fighters to whoever they want to.
Or is it Peter Maniatis?
Peter Maniatis, yep.
He's been.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a couple of fighters on DL's next event. We've had a few fighters on No Limit as well. Both are professional. They do what they say they're going to do. They pay 3-4 times the amount the club shows pay.
Yep.
You don't have to sell tickets. Fighters are happy. What more do you want?
Yeah, no, exactly. I think it's great. Let's see.
I'm personally still missing one of the best in Australian history is Linda Hoskins. I'm missing HP. Put a lot of my boys on HP Promotions, and I'm not done. I reckon one day, like the Undertaker, you'll hear the bells, WWE, and he'll rise and he'll come back.
Don't hold your breath though, mate, because there's no room in Melbourne at the moment. There's like 6 or 7 different promoters at the moment. There's absolutely no room. So let's hear a little bit what the fighters had to say. This is firstly Harry Garside.
Entertaining. I think everyone who saw him fight is very entertaining, and he's awkward. He's tall, he's lanky, he switches stance, he throws weird shots. He's going to show up to fight, simple as that. And I fought him back in 2018, back in the amateurs. So it was a tough fight then, and it's going to be a tough fight on the 30th, mate. But I just want to make sure I listen to my team and prepare properly and show up on the 30th and give the crowd a good show.
So it's interesting that he fought him a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
In the amateurs.
Cool.
I'd say he probably would have handled him okay in the amateurs, which is probably why it's happening now. But Matei, he was pretty impressive in his last fight too. He was very impressive. He probably needs to.
He's done a good job.
Probably needs to get a little bit of media training when he's in the ring. That he maybe keeps the language down a little bit on live TV. But anyway, I'm sure he'll get a bit of advice as he goes. All right, well, one of our boys.
Peter gone, mate? Is he in the Uber on the way to King Street?
Yeah, I was going to say, where's Pete's bugged out. We'll continue on though, Tassie. Let's go onto a guy that we know pretty well, Jade Mitchell. He's on this card against Tyson Turner. Let's hear what Jade had to say, especially about the prospect of fighting the Zach Dunns and Bilal Akaways of the world.
For years now, I touched base on that in the press conference. For years now, myself, Zach Dunn, Roland Murdoch, Bilal Akaway, we've all been in the top 10 in the world, and for whatever reasons, we haven't been able to make those fights. So me and Bilal come close, but then I broke my neck. Zach Dunn called me out. We haven't been able to make that fight happen, but man, they're the fights I want. I want to be in fights people want to talk about. I want to be in fights that we're going to talk about when we're old men. Like I don't want to just fight nobody. I want to get up for the fights. I want them to be important. I want people to want to see the fights. And these three are the names that I want. And for whatever reason, we haven't been able to make a fight. But I reckon now with the platform and the current climate of just world sports in general, we can make these fights happen. These fights.
Tassie, look, I think it's great, and I really hope these fights come off because, again, as a boxing fan, to see him fight a Rowan Murdoch or Bilal Akaway, probably Akaway is probably a little bit away because he's been out for 3 years. He probably needs 2 or 3 fights before that.
He's on the Sonny Bill Williams Hall 1 the card.
Oh, is he? Okay, great. Well, that's great to see him back. As I was at his last fight in Vegas, and it wasn't pretty. So, but I'm sure that he's matured a lot since then, and it would have done him, I won't say the world of good, but it would have given a realistic view of what it's like at the top level. So I've got no doubt he'll be back. And obviously Zach Dunn. I'm not quite sure what Zach's up to at the moment, but I really hope those fights come off.
He just had a baby the other day.
Has he? Well, congratulations to Zach. But I think
boxing, he might be.
I just hope, Pete, that some of these fights happen. And look, I think if anyone can make it happen, obviously No Limit can. So I'm really happy that Jade's with No Limit because, you know, these fights are going to happen because, you know, Rowan Murdoch and Bilal Akaway, why wouldn't they want to fight on a No Limit show in a big fight, big money fight, TV fight against Jade?
Yeah, let's hope they all happen. Platform's there.
All right, well, let's get on to the other member of the No Limit team that's fighting on that night, Paulo Orcocio. I think I've pronounced that right.
I said before, it's the unknown at the moment. You know, we don't know how Paulo goes as a professional, and like I said, he's got all the attributes. Anything can happen. I'm just excited to see it all play out, and I think for anyone tuning in, it's a great opportunity to see what one of our next biggest prospects in Australia has to offer. You know, he's represented the country as an amateur, and now he's ready to take off, take the titles off everyone else on his way up the professional list.
I want the smoke, but so we've got Faris. He's number one in Australia. I want to take him out. We've done a few rounds together, so I kind of know what he's about. But yeah, Brandon Quinlan, I want all of them.
Pete. Now, I've got to say at the end there, that was Paulo Orcocio. I hope I got that right. Sorry, Paulo, I got that right. I did see a little bit of the amateurs at the Olympics looked the goods. Already, Pete, he's got the eyes on your man, Faris. What's the? I've probably got an idea what you're going to say, but what are your reaction to him calling Faris out?
Yeah, once he earns the right to fight Faris, we can make the fight happen. He hasn't earned the right yet.
Yeah, no, that's spoken like a true manager. That's fine. Tassie, you saw a little bit of him at the Olympics, I gather. What do you think of him?
Yeah, I think he competed at the World Championships as well, and maybe Com Games. Yeah, no, he's good, mate. He's got all the moves, all the punches, quite slick. So just let me get this right. This is his debut, yeah?
Debut.
All right, yeah. So he needs to, before he calls out the Farises of the world, needs to earn his craft. But look, he might be one of those young guys that want to go through quickly. But yeah, he's definitely got the skills. So it'd be interesting to see his journey. I know Michael Van's a real journeyman, a veteran of the game. So
we're interested to see. And Sam Goodman, obviously, on that card as well, who's a great young talent as well. Let's get on to another one that we're very familiar with, Tassie, and it's Billy Dibb. It's been obviously announced a little while back, but they had the press conference the other day. You can see there, March 19th. Didn't actually realise that Jacob NG was so much taller than Billy.
Yeah, I knew. Yeah, he's a big lightweight, mate. He's a very tall lightweight. I mean, obviously Billy was originally a featherweight, but I mean Billy, but this guy's a real towering guy. And look, mate, it's a great fight. It's young versus old. It's a guy that's got some belts and a ranking, and Billy sounds hungry. And I'm backing Billy all the way. I'm going to try and go to this tour if I can. I'm obviously backing Billy in body punch. I think Billy's experience on the big stage, he's been to the biggest stage time and time again. I just don't think this kid, I think it'll affect him. It's hard when you're going up on the big stage like this, and I think Billy's experience will get him over the line. But, mate, it's a great fight, and I wouldn't be surprised if the younger guy starts favourite. But I believe Billy's still got enough left to get it done, but, yeah.
Pete, before I get you to comment on it, let's have a look at the press conference that was held yesterday, which was Wednesday, and have a little bit of a listen to what the boys had to say.
I wanted to say, obviously I'm sitting in my dad's spot for this, and I know how much he would have loved to have been here for such a big event. We've got obviously a very strong undercard with a lot of young up-and-coming boxers who are smashing onto the Australian scene. But also the main event, I mean, to get a domestic bout of this significance in Australia is very hard to see, and we've got a legend of Australian boxing in Billy Dibb facing off against one of the most exciting fighters we've seen in Australia for a long time in Jacob the Flamingo NG. So I know it's going to be a great night, and we're all looking forward to it. And my dad would obviously be very proud to have been here, and he's just wanted everyone to know that we're all looking forward to supporting such a great event and great athletes. Thank you.
All I can say is that, Ace Boxing Promotions, they put the best fights on, and, they reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested in taking on Jacob, and of course I said yes. I feel that, it's going to be a great fight for the Australian public, and what I'm going to say, I'm not making no predictions or anything like that, but I'm just going to go out there, give the best that I can give, and I know on the night that's going to be enough to get the victory.
And so I've been putting in the hours in the gym, grinding every day, getting ready for this shot. I think I'm already ready. Just get me in the ring and let me get to work.
What does it mean to you to fight someone like Billy Dibb for these titles and defend these belts?
Yeah, it's huge. Much respect to Billy. He's been there and done that. It's a great name to have on the resume. So just get that win on fight night and add to the resume.
Pete, and before I'll let you comment there, obviously a shout out as well to Angelo Di Carlo. Very well said by Alfie there. I thought he really encompassed what we're all thinking, and obviously best wishes to Angelo. So
100%. I messaged him recently. Hope he's doing okay.
So Pete, Tassie's had his say on the fight. He backs Billy. How do you see the fight sort of panning out?
It's a hard one to pick, really, because Jacob's sort of coming up and Billy's levelled out. Billy's got the experience and he's been a far level better fighter, but not at that weight. I mean, Billy started as a featherweight and junior lightweight. He's skipping up. You can see the size difference. It's going to be a real interesting fight. Hard one to pick. If I had to pick, I'll put my money on Billy Dibb, only because he's had the experience and he's fought on big stages, and hopefully that's going to be enough to get him over the line. And Billy Dibb's got a real good chin too. People underestimate how tough he is. He's got a sensational chin, so I'd probably tip Billy Dibb in this one.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I've had a bit of a think about it as well, and it's a difficult one to sort of to pick a winner, because we don't know. We all Billy's obviously got the runs on the board, and he's been such a great fighter for Australia for a long time. But it's a matter of how much he's got left, I suppose, and maybe Jacob, who might just be a little bit of a step too far. But look, let's not forget, Jacob was calling out George Cambosis before he fought Teofimo Lopez. I know that's ridiculous looking in hindsight. But I think what he's looking at, he's ready to step up and test himself. And there's probably no one else really in Australia at that weight that comes anywhere near close to George Cambosis, I suppose. So I think it's great that he's taking a step up. Whether or not it's a step too far too soon, we'll see. But again, another great fight for Australian boxing. So looking forward to seeing that. I don't think it's televised. It'll probably be on Facebook Live, I'm assuming, guys. I know I haven't seen it.
They'll probably do a stream or something like that, probably.
Yeah, so we'll let you know. But
I reckon.
All right, well, one last bit of Australian news. Our man, George Cambosis. Now, I didn't mention it at the start of the show, but Pistol Pete Maniatis has pulled off the impossible and got an interview with the man himself, George Cambosis.
Yeah, it came out of the blue, but yeah, we spoke a little bit. No exclusive or anything, but he did confirm that he will be fighting in Melbourne on June 5th. So it's either going to be Lomachenko or Haney.
Yeah.
So we'll wait and see on the announcement.
Well, before we get to George, it's an abbreviated version of it. If you want to watch the whole interview, it's on KO Boxing Show. Is that what it's called, Pete? Your channel?
Showbox, KO Showbox.
KO Showbox, okay. So check it out on YouTube. Before we actually get to the interview, though, Eddie Hearn was interviewed on DAZN the other day, and this is what he had to say about his man Devin Haney maybe getting a possible shot at George instead of Lomachenko.
Your guy, Mike Carpenter, puts out that the Valsina-Lomachenko fight is done pretty much. How true is that? And are we still in a running for Devin Haney, Cambosis Jr.?
Yeah, I mean, we've actually had a good week of talks, really. The zone have got in the middle. It's very important for them to try and make this fight happen, because if it's Lomachenko against Cambosis, then, Lomachenko's a big favourite in that fight, and all the belts could go back over to ESPN. So I think the zone are acting like a good middleman buffer between myself and Lou DiBella, rather than, Lou losing his rag or me being stubborn or whatever. I think it's a good model to use where we can all be sensible and see if there's any legs to get it over the line. So there's been offers go back and forwards from the zone, and I think we've got a good shot at it. But he wants to be the clear-cut undisputed, and he can only do that by a fight with Devin Haney. Devin Haney's stood up and said, yeah, I'll take the same money as Lomachenko if that's a problem. So no excuse situation. He's ready to go to Australia. He's ready to take less money than he even got to fight Jojo Diaz, to fight the undisputed championship. You know what I mean? So that should tell you everything you need to know about whether Devin Haney wants this fight.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, Pete? As I said, we'll get on to George's interview in a second there, but according to him, it's not dead in the water, and talks are going pretty well, and they're pretty confident getting the fight. So we obviously know, and George will say in a sec, it's obviously June 5th, it looks like it's going to be in Melbourne, but yeah, it's the plot thickens as far as who the opponent's going to be.
It does, but George also mentioned, if you listen closely, that he's going to be a co-promoter Lou Diabella. So it sounds like they're in complete control of what's happening. I mean, you know, Eddie Hearn's a good spin master. He's a networker, he's a salesman. Of course he's going to talk crap. No one really knows what happens behind the scenes. As you know, Lyndon, you've managed and promoted boxers. What you tell other people and what you're really talking to their manager and promoter about are completely two different things half the time. Maybe not all the time, but it does happen that way. And I mean, I can't say anything about who I think he's going to be fighting, but I wouldn't be taking too much notice of that.
Yeah. All right, well, let's see what George Cambosos had to say. He caught up with Peter a little bit, was it start of the week or late last week, whatever it was. But anyway, this is what he had to say to Peter on the KO, have we got that right? KO Showbox show. What was it again?
That'll do.
All right, check out Peter's channel. There you go.
There we go.
Absolute pleasure, Peter, to be on. I love your intro, and yeah, you said it. Biggest name in Australian boxing, but I think the hottest name in the world boxing currently. Everyone's wants a piece, and you know, Cambosos' name is worldwide at the moment.
Undisputed world champion. I mean, we were all watching, and we saw Lopez try and bluff you that first round. He tried to attack that first 30 seconds, but you knew what you were doing. You dropped him, you gained his respect. Then we just saw a modern-day superstar developing in front of our very own eyes. How did it feel when you got all those belts?
Oh, it was a beautiful moment. You know, the game plan that we executed, and the way I executed in the ring was pinpoint. You know, from putting him down in round one, I set it for so many months. I'm going to catch this guy. I'm going to hit him with the best shot, with a beautiful right hand, like Casamaro said. And I followed them guidelines, and I threw that right hand with bad intent, and landed it clean, landed it perfect. A right hand that I've been fighting my whole career. I've been fighting from the amateur days, but knocking people out with this. So, you know, it's only fitting that I fought in the biggest fight of my career, and really changed the tempo straight away, where I told this kid, hey, with my punch, I'm here to fight, and I'm so happy that I didn't knock him out with that shot. I'm happy that I was able to show 12 rounds of beautiful boxing. Obviously, round 10, I had my own adversity, but again, showed the kind of warrior I am to not only get up at a minute 45 and survive that round, but come on strong in that round and then finish round 11 and 12 like a true champion that goes through adversity and finishes the fight with bad intent to win the fight, and that's what we did.
The ancient Greeks used to say, fortune favours the brave. And you've got all the fortune, my friend. You've been in everyone's backyard. Mickey Bay, Lee Selby, now Primo Lopez, right in their backyard, and you've got the W. Now you're in a position where you've got all the jewels, you've got the gold, they have to come to the Emperor. Now what's happening? June 5th, we're hearing in Melbourne, 53,000 Greeks sell, 53,000 people. I'm sure the Greek community will be there in full power. We saw the tennis, it was hijacked by you guys.
And I'm sorry that Tsitsipas was stealing a moment, but it shows the star power that Ferocious Cambosis has. But it's a very exciting time currently.
George, a lot of people are mentioning June the 5th Marble Stadium. How true is this? They're mentioning Lomachenko, they're mentioning Devin Haney. It's already putting a smile on your face. I mean, how true, how close are we to this becoming reality?
Very, very, very close. I don't want to give anything away, but I've been straightforward, and everything I say, I mean it. I'm a man of my word. And when I said that I'm going to come back to Australia and do a mega stadium, a mega event, a mega fight with the best names, I could have had a tune-up fight easily. I could have had an easy touch, made a few million here and defended the belts easily, but I'm not about that. I had the hardest road, and why would I come back to Australia now and do a massive stadium and the hard
the hard people of this country that work hard and want to put their money and spend their money to watch me fight, I'm going to give them an easy touch? No. That's why I said I'm going to fight either Lomachenko or Devin Haney. We're very close, very, very close. And I'm not going to give away who exactly it is, but it's very close. The beautiful stadium, the date that everyone's hearing is quite close as well. And, there'll be a big announcement coming very soon.
How long will you be based in Melbourne prior to the fight? Will you come here and do your training camp, or will you do a lot in Sydney and come the last week, or have you got that planned out yet?
Well, Melbourne's been set big time, and it's pretty obvious that the fight is in Melbourne. So the fight is in Melbourne, and I'll give that exclusive one from my mouth right now. The fight is in Melbourne, and we'll be there probably 2 weeks out, somewhere there. But my camp's here. I've got my beautiful gym, in the works now. It's getting put together, ferocious boxing gym, which is going to be beautiful. I have my American team here, got my coaches here as well. I'm doing a lot of work with Ronnie Sinclair, who's a great coach. I've got my old school coach, Chris Backus. I've got my strength conditioning coach, Amir, and obviously my lead trainer, my head trainer, Javier Centeno. The man with the plan that broke down Teofimo Lopez, and we put a lot of hard work into that camp, and it's very exciting. Great time for what I've achieved in my career. And now that the sky's the limit, to come back to Australia with all these belts and defend against the biggest name possible, it shows what I'm about. I'm a man of my word, and I'm here chasing legacy.
George, you are so ferocious in everything you do. What do you do to chill out away from boxing? Are you a movies man? Do you like watching sport, music? What are the things that you could tell us about that you enjoy?
Look, I like spending time with my family, my kids, but I'm always in the gym. I'm always training hard. I'm always trying to perfect. I know it's everything. This guy's mad. This guy's crazy. But as soon as I won that fight, I want to get back in the gym, keep getting better and better. That shows the discipline that I have. And a lot of guys would have won them belts and would have been partying for 2-3 weeks straight. We went on a two-week press tour, all around America to build my brand. Joe Rogan, all the different podcasts and interviews, just to keep building my brand, and that's kind of far I am. But the one thing I do enjoy is fishing. I like getting on my boat and throwing the line out and relaxing a little bit, and going out with the boys on the boat and having a laugh. So that is one thing that I do enjoy. And we'll see in the future. There might be a Channel 7 or a Channel 9 ferocious fishing, segment in the future.
Yeah, well, what do you normally, have you caught any big type of fish? Have you got any prizes that you can share with us? What's the biggest fish?
No prizes. No prizes. I don't really do the competition. I just go out there, have a bit of fun. You catch your kingfish, your jewfish, your flatheads and your bream and all that. So that's good fun. Probably something that a lot of people don't know about me, but I do like to get on the boat and go for a fish, and I just enjoy it. I really enjoy it.
You enjoyed the tuna in General Santos City. They've got nice tuna there, haven't they?
Yeah, look, it's the tuna capital of the world. So to be in General Santos and knowing that and loving tuna myself, and obviously Manny told me, look, you got to have the tuna from here when we first started sparring, and it's beautiful, incredible place. Different kind of place, different world, and really humbling place as well to see how they live, to see how these people have a different lifestyle to what we have, and it's truly remarkable. Beautiful people, beautiful, environment as well. It's the beaches, the water the way it is. So, it was a great experience to be there. And who knows, maybe one day when Manny's president, I'll fly over, and who knows, I might be in the politics as well here for Australia as well. So we can talk about politics.
I spoke to his brother Bobby Pacquiao, and he sends his best. He's a massive rapper. Bobby's a great guy. Yeah. Bobby always told me George will win a world title. He was never ever in doubt when he was watching this spar, man. So the team Pacquiao love you, but we all love you. George, thank you for your time, my friend. You're the next, you're a modern day superstar now of boxing, and to take out 20 minutes of your humble time, and we really appreciate it. It was great to spend time with you and your dad in Malaysia as well on the Manny Pacquiao undercard, and I'm just so looking forward to hanging out with you guys when you get to Melbourne.
Definitely, it's going to be very exciting, and obviously to come back to Australia. I've been on the road for 5 years, doing it the hard way, went and won these belts the right way, and
it's exciting. I can't wait. I get goosebumps just, envisioning that big crowd, that beautiful stadium, and winning this fight and defending my belts. So it's an absolute pleasure to speak to you. And anytime, I'm always love to chat with you and give my support to your show.
No, thank you, George, and all the best, my friend, and we'll be chatting very soon.
Definitely. Thanks, Peter. Cheers, mate.
So there he was, George Cambosis. Great job there, Pete. I know it wasn't probably the most ideal circumstances to do that interview, but you did very, very well.
No. Yeah, I've got George and his father, Jimmy, great people, humble. They'll give you time. They're just down with people, and great to see he's just living the dream right at the moment.
And Tassie, you would have noticed that there was no vision of Peter because he would not be caught dead without his Versace shirt on or something. So that's why there was no vision of Peter.
Yeah, mate, it was a great interview. Well done, Peter. It was good to hear George talk. Since he won the world titles, and yeah, mate. Look, Pete's never going to be caught, unprepared. If it's not Versace or Louis or one of the designer Gucci, he obviously was a bit. Only had the old.
I put the blinds up, Lyndon. I just put the blinds up if it's not. No one can see.
Good job.
He probably had the old Adidas tracksuit on that day.
Make sure if you want to check it out, go on YouTube because the whole interview goes for about 16 or 17 minutes. Obviously, we couldn't put the whole lot in because of time, but check it out. It was a good job under the circumstances. Pete, let's get on
but Lyndon,
yes.
Can I say something? I'm not having a go at you because I love you. You're a good friend of mine. You came to my engagement party, for fuck's sake. Pardon the language. Peter can get George Cambosis, but you can't get Wade Ryan. What's going on?
I know. That's a bit of a different subject.
I'm
but
only
maybe
just
I should
saying
get you
that
to
you're an
source the interviews.
ex-Olympian. You're an ex-Olympian. I don't know how many Oceanias you won. You knocked out most of Australia. Good fight, but you can't get Wade Ryan on the show.
That's why I'm yesterday's hero, mate. I'm yesterday's news. But anyway, let's move on. Maybe I should get you to chase these guys up. Let's get on to the world news. We've got a lot more better things to talk about because there's again been a lot going on. And I suppose first and foremost last week was Kell Brook. We all would have watched that fight. Beat Amir Khan by 6th round stoppage. What were your thoughts? Tassie, I was actually very, very impressed with Kell Brook.
I was pumped for the fight because no matter their age or whatever, they've been the fight. A true rivalry, a true hatred for 17 years. And it didn't happen at their best, but it's still not too bad. Like, they're 35, not 45. And they got 40,000 people. The crowd was crazy. And I tipped Brook to win. I thought Khan's chin, I just thought Brook, Brook's a fast starter. He looked good against Golovkin. He looked good against Crawford early as well. So I thought, and he touched him early, and Khan just didn't have anything. The resistance was gone. He stuck in there, showed heart. And this, mate, I'll tell you now, Khan will be spewing he signed the contract because this was a bragging rights. Khan's done now. Brook might fight. Hope he doesn't, but he might fight Conor Ben or even Eubank at a catch weight. But Khan... he'd never get over the fact he'd been beat by Brook. I'll tell you now. Because they really hated each other. And Khan, just his opinion of Brook was so little. He just thought he was so much better than him. He might have been at one stage, but we see the result.
Pete, what surprised me a lot was that how fragile Khan looked. And now I know he's been a great fighter over the years, but have you ever seen a more fragile fighter? And I'm saying that in the most respectful way because if he gets hit with anything, the legs wobble and he gets the chicken legs going. It happens nearly every single fight. He's I suppose fragile is a harsh word, but do you know what I mean? Like he just gets rocked by any sort of punch. And I suppose that's what's been one of the attractions about him over the years.
Yeah, that's a big thing. But looking at that footage, Amir Khan's a shot duck and he's been shot for a while. So this was his superannuation. He got paid close to 10 million at the end of all this, so he was never going to get anywhere near that type of payday anywhere else. And he didn't get dropped, finished on his feet, and he gets to enjoy the rest of his life with his family. But Kell Brook looked really better than what he normally would. He's fighting a shot duck. He's just a shell of himself and well promoted. And English are very similar to the Aussies. If you get two Aussies in a local derby like Danny Green and Mundine, doesn't matter if they're 100 years old, people still tune in, and that's what happened here. But the fact is, Kell Brook's still got a little bit left in the tank, not much. We saw Kell Brook get blasted out by Crawford pretty easily, and he looked a world beater against Amir Khan, because poor Amir Khan's shot. And I say that with respect. I'm good friends with Amir Khan's uncle and his dad Shah and all those people. But mate, that was just superannuation. There's another 8 or 9 mil. Thank you very much.
Yep.
The caravan rocks on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, before I get you to comment, Tassie, let's just have a look and see what Kell Brook had to say after the fight.
Get to him. And just a word on Amir Khan. There was an embrace at the end there. Is there now respect between the two of you? Is that grudge now buried? Is the Amir Khan chapter of your book finished in your eyes?
I've always had respect for him. Man's always kind of been there, but when I don't get it back for years, it's hard to like someone who's just dissing you. But I took my hat from today for taking them shots and still trying to hold in there. That's where the respect comes, and it comes naturally from me. I went over and said, he's marked up and he took some good shots, so I respect him for that, and I've heard that he's a nice kind of guy, but he says we can get a coffee after, but if we do or not, that's a different thing.
Tassie?
I'm interested in the promoter, the young promoter who's the new kid on the block. I mean, there's Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn. Who's this young guy?
I'm not sure. Do you know much about him, Pete? I did have his name written down. I can't remember what it was, but he looks quite young.
Yeah, he did seem quite young. Good on him. I mean, but these type of fights, really, that you had Sky Sports, and he's probably been linked up with the, because Brook's not really signing up. Amir Khan, they're free agents, so he put it together. Basically, the fighters made most of the money, because I think Brook made just over 6 million, Khan made close to 10 mil. This is Aussie, not US.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Where would they make that type of money anywhere else in the world?
No, they
nowhere.
Wouldn't. And the interesting thing is what happens now. You obviously expect Amir Khan to retire. We'll have a listen to what he had to say in a second. But you think Brook might have a couple of options, like you said, Tassie. Let's just have a quick look at what Amir Khan had to say.
40 fights. I mean, a lot of fights. We're winning 2 world titles, fighting up and down America and around the world. I mean, need to sit down with my family, but I think it is more towards the end of my career now here. And obviously that love of the sport is not there anymore like it was before. When I was in the ring, obviously I used to have that, that excitement and that push. I just didn't have it in me. It felt quite flat. And I think that's maybe a sign for me to know that I should be calling it a day, maybe.
Yeah, no doubt there. It should give it away, because he's definitely just a shell of what he was as a fighter. But yeah, what do you reckon, Tassie? You mentioned before the options maybe with Conor Benn and Chris Eubank. Do you think the
Conor Benn?
Yeah, big money fights. It's probably all he could really look for, isn't it? It's a tough one.
Eddie's obviously they're not together, but they're not on bad terms. I heard any interview today, and he mentioned the book on the phone. I think we could do Conor Benn, and Conor Benn's looking for a guy like that. So I was thinking about the waterweight division today. So you got Spence Crawford. You've got the Mexican kid, undefeated, Virgil Ortiz.
Victor Ortiz.
Yeah. Yep.
Virgil Ortiz.
And then you got the other gun, that other African American fighter. They call Boots Ennis.
Boots, yeah.
Ennis.
Yeah.
So you got a guy like Ben. I mean, he doesn't want to be touching any of them yet. I mean, so a fight against someone like Brook would be a good fight. Ex-champion, Ben should win. Young, it's a hot division waterweight. Always has been, always will be.
Yep.
But there's some big names here at the moment, and a lot of them guys haven't got belts yet either. So I think Ben would be looking for a Brook. I think it'd be ideal, all England affair, and I think a young Ben would be too much of Brook. I think.
Yeah, no, exciting stuff. But there was another fight last weekend. It was Homi Munguia and Demetrius Bella. We've just got a couple of quick highlights. That third round stoppage looked pretty.
Now,
I think
Triple G slipped a little. I don't think he's at that level.
Yeah.
But he keeps improving. He's young. How old is he? 24 by memory?
Not sure how old he is, but yeah, he's still young. He's not.
Yeah, he's not that old. He's not. Because I mean, he struggled against Hogan. Hogan kind of had moments with him. So, you know, let's wait and see. But he does look good on his night. I'll give him that.
All right, Tassie, on to the next one. That we did mention this fight's, you know, was tentatively booked a couple of weeks ago, but now it's official. April 23rd at Wembley Arena in London, and yeah, it's an important fight for Fury, isn't it? There's a lot on the line.
Yeah, well, it's a dangerous fight. I mean, I saw Fury yesterday going off his social media. He said, I'm going into training camp, which is good.
Yep.
I hope he does. I hope he doesn't overlook White because he's a dangerous guy, and if Fury's not on song, White could upset him. I really like Fury. I like to see Fury retire undefeated. He's my guy. But White's a dangerous fight, man. This is a real fight.
Well, this is the belt the two will be fighting for. It's an additional belt. It is the Union belt, they've called it, for the two British fighters fighting. So, yeah, nice little collector's item for both fighters, Pete. But just on the purses, I've just got it there. Fury, this is, I'm assuming, American. It works out to American dollars. Fury, $29.5 million. White, about 7.4 million, and the winner gets 4.1 million. So not a bad night's work for either one of them, Pete.
Yeah, pretty good night. And look, this will generate a lot of crowd and a lot of interest in England, but also around the world as well. Tyson Fury now is a universal star, and he'll sell this fight. He's just got to train hard and prepare for the best that Tyson Fury can do, because Dillian Whyte can whack. If Dillian Whyte hits him clean, he's going to knock him out. Dillian Whyte can knock anyone out if he hits him clean, but you know, Tyson Fury's an unstoppable force at the moment. It would take a lot to beat him, and he basically would have to beat himself to lose this fight.
Well, Tassie, this is what you mentioned before with Tyson Fury on his, I think it was his Instagram account.
Social media completely for the next 8.5 weeks. Going to go into training camp to give Dillian Whyte all the respect in the world that he needs. I'll train for him like he's Muhammad Ali, Bruce Lee for this camp. I'll never underestimate anybody in my life. And I'll give this man all the respect he deserves, coming as a #1 ranked WBC heavyweight challenger in the world today. Please don't phone me, call me, email me, text me, or try to contact me in any single way, because I am out of bounds until May. So a fantastic time. I will see you all at the press conference, and I'll be training away. Please appreciate my privacy and space. Until the press conference, guys, I shall see you all soon. Peace out.
Yeah, so
you just cut it out then, Lyndon. He was just about, as he said, the only one that can text me or call me is Tassie.
Yes,
you
I did cut
bit
that out.
out.
I didn't want to get his head.
Only because what Tassie said about you and Wade Bryan. If you didn't say that, I know you wouldn't have cut it out.
100%, mate. Yeah, look, you know, Tyson's a good dude. I met him at Wildcard with Freddie Roach, and I actually, true story, and the great Dustin Martin, who I took on the pad Saturday, I reminded him, I said, I took Dusty to Wildcard and introduced him to Tyson Fury.
Is that right? I saw the picture on social media.
Yeah, I took Dusty because Freddie said, Tyson's training here tomorrow, come back at this time. So I went there and I took Dusty along because he was in America at the same time as me. And I just said to Tyson, I said, this is a Tom Brady of Australia. So give him a bit of hindsight, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. All right, well, before we get on to the talking points and the quiz, we've got the latest edition, it's a quick one tonight, of The Road to Zerafa versus Hardman. Now, boys, both of them have sort of gone into the shows a little bit. Pete, you should be well across this. You normally know what's going on, but yeah, they've been very quiet. The only thing, well, we all know with Michael Zerafa this week, he was on the SAS show on Channel 7, and our man only lasted 2 days or a day and a half. Let's see what happened here. Oh, that's him there in that's a pretty good pose he's got going on there. It's definitely a fighting pose. Let's see what happened with his stay on, or his appearance on SAS Australia.
Pro boxer Michael is forced to medically withdraw from the course.
Stuff. You done?
Sorry, stuff.
When do you think you tore it?
It was on the first day.
You tore it on the first day? Gutted for you. I'm gutted for you because I know you would have gone
I never
far on
wanted to
this.
give up.
But listen, you've got nothing to prove. All you need to do is get healed now. Sort yourself out. Get back on track. Make sure that is done properly, okay? You've got an amazing career in front of you. Do you know what I mean? You're an amazing fighter.
I appreciate it.
And
Thank you,
listen, your time will come again.
Thank you again, stuff. Pleasure, brother. Thank you so much. Much love, brother. Thank you so much. Having to quit because of an injury is the worst feeling in the world. I'm super sad. I'm holding back tears. I didn't want to go out this way, you know. Even Ant said he was looking forward to seeing me at the end. Fingers crossed I come back and give it another crack.
So that was the injury. Now, Pete, Isaac Hardman wasn't having any of that. And this is what he had to say about Michael Zerafa lasting a day and a half and having, I think it was a bicep injury, but this is what he had to say.
SAS started filming in October last year. It goes on for 2 episodes. Pulls a hard string or a shoulder injury, whatever you want to call it. Medically withdrawn from the course because he can't tread fucking water, but yet he's able to fight in December. Doesn't make sense to me. So bad you couldn't tread water or climb across a piece of pipe, but yet you can.
Oh, we cut out the last little bit there, unfortunately. But so Pete, he's not buying the injury. I think he was more or less saying that was filmed mid-October and he fought late October and he fought mid-December. Has he got a point there? I don't think he has. I don't think Zerafa would have done that. But yeah, he definitely, and you can see there the Instagram post there saying he definitely doubts it. And you look at the bottom there, it looks like he hurt his shoulder day one. Far from it. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
I don't watch the show. I've just saw.
I never saw it either.
No comment. I didn't know anything ever about the show. I don't watch
Peter's more of a married at first sight guy, Linda. Married at first sight. Peter's forte.
Yeah. I don't watch much of that TV stuff, so
all right.
Don't know.
All right. Well, we'll put an asterisk beside you. What do you reckon, Tassie? Are they just fighting words? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, obviously the injury must have been legit. Obviously, I mean, you get on them shows, you want to be on there as long as you can because you become a bit of a celebrity. I mean, going on a show like this, even though I hate reality TV, I think it's all a bunch of bullshit. But I do train a lot of these people. You know, the longer you're on there, the more followers you get on Instagram, the more fucking sort of, you know. So he would have stayed there as long as he could if he was healthy. So it obviously. He had an injury and he had to get off the show. But I mean, because you can't beat that airtime. If you're trying to raise your status.
Yep.
If you're trying to raise your status out of being just a person in boxing to being known like a Mundine or a Barry Hall or Sonny Bill Williams or Paul Gallen. So yeah, look, obviously he had a decent injury, but I don't watch none of them.
Nah,
I think they should ban all reality TV shows. They should ban all reality TV shows. I prefer to watch Seinfeld and the Goodies and shows like that, mate.
Hey, me too. Shit. Me too. Pete, just on the fight itself, so you would think there would be some sort of official press conference or announcement. I know we've been on it for the last few weeks now. They've sort of teased different things. Do you think we've got to be close? It's April the 20th is the fight, so it's less than 8 weeks away. We still actually haven't had an official announcement / press conference. Do you think that's... Do you know anything what's going on, or are we just supposed to sit there and sit on our hands?
Obviously it'll be coming soon. Obviously, everyone knows the date and the venue, so it'll be coming soon when they can organise it, I guess. And I'll probably do it just before both guys go into training camp, so we'll wait and see. Sounds like you're eager, Lyndon, and you'll be there.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely be there for sure. But yeah, look, I just find it a little bit odd. And you're right, maybe they don't think that's going to be that hard to sell, and maybe they're also waiting for this Zerafa SAS thing to be over so they can push it a bit more. So either way, we'll continue to monitor what's going on and report on it every week. And I'm sure within the next sort of week or so, we should have some more juicy stuff to put in the road to Zerafa versus Hardman. Let's get on to the talking points, guys. Now, what I wanted to do tonight, we won't spend too much time on each one, but I wanted to just address what I see as 5 of the probably biggest issues in world boxing at the moment. And I know a lot of them are can't be resolved, and it's the state of play in boxing today and all that sort of stuff. But I just want to quickly grab your thoughts about, as I said, what I think are just 5 of the things that sort of spring to mind that I think's wrong in boxing today. And the first one is there's a belt for every main event. Now, obviously, as a promoter, we're all promoters or being promoters. I understand it looks good when you got the belt and it's on the poster and stuff, but Tassie, do you reckon just having a belt these days, like almost inventing a belt just for the sake of it, having it for a main event, it just cheapens the belt? What are your thoughts?
The trouble is most people don't know.
Yeah.
Like the public haven't got a clue. They say belt and they just think, like, I know a few in Melbourne, like actually they're not even belts, but they actually they found them in a Kinder Surprise packet. But people don't know. I'm not going to knock any promoter marketing on the show because I've done it, you've done it, we've all done that. We're all trying to make money. We're all trying to sell as many tickets as we can. But the general public haven't got a clue. If you can get away with it, do it. If it's just, you know what I mean? I've got no problem with it because the thing with me, and I guess we're all on the same page, but I know with me, I've wore all the hats. I've been a fighter, a manager, a trainer, and a promoter. So I can understand everyone's reason. I can understand when the promoter doesn't want to. I can understand when the promoter doesn't want to lose money on a fight. I can understand the fighter, what he's feeling, he's training. I can understand, the coach and the manager. So I've got no problem with whatever they want to call it. They can call it the Tiddlywinks Championship of fucking Victoria. I don't really care.
Yeah, look, as I said at the start, I understand it's a state of play in boxing, and with my promoter's hat on, I understand the way it works. I'm probably more looking from a fan, from the outside looking in, Pete, that like every single show they put on, they invent some sort of title or belt, and if there's not one, the sanctioning body will invent one. As I said, you've been there and done that for a lot of years. What are your thoughts on it?
It is what it is. I mean, if you can get a selling point and a hook, you do it, I guess.
Yeah.
Everyone's guilty and not guilty of it, so just roll with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's here to stay. So much we can do about it. Point number 2, promoters hindering big fights. Now, this is another one we've just got to live with, but I suppose a classic one initially, Tassie, was Mayweather-Pacquiao back in the day, but it's happening more and more now where, the promoters' egos and agendas and relationships are all coming into play. And even we saw in the interview with Eddie Hearn earlier, TV networks coming into play, where the Cambosis and maybe Lomachenko fight, DAZN don't want Lomachenko because if they lose the belts, the champion to ESPN from DAZN. So it's amazing how much politics are involved, isn't it?
I think it's more about the TV stations more than the promoters now.
Yeah.
I think most of the promoters do deal with each other.
TV stations pay the promoters, don't they?
I mean, Wilder's, I think he's a Heyman guy.
Yeah.
He fights Fury, who's a Aaron guy. I think it's Showtime. HBO's gone, but it was Showtime HBO. That's what the Pacquiao Mayweather.
Yeah.
Now it's ESPN, DAZN. I think it's more about the TVs and the promoters now. I think the promoters have got over that. I think they sort of still deal with each other, De La Hoya and Arum. I think they all mix. So I think it's more the TV networks more so than when we go back to Pacquiao, Mayweather and all that stuff.
Yeah, and Pete, another example at the moment is you've got PBC, you've got pretty much all the welterweights in the world, and then you've got Crawford was with Top Rank, and that for years has put the Crawford fight on hold, and it's just, I suppose that's one of the main ones I was looking at. When you look at just because you're with a certain network or whatever, these fights just don't get made. So Tassie's probably right. Do you think that it's not necessarily the promoters, it's the TV stations?
Yeah, it's a bit of both, I guess. And, as fans lately, though, we have had good fights and they've been made. So, I'm pretty sure in time they'll work it out and the fights will happen anyway. It always does.
Yeah, and I will say, I know we don't talk much about the UFC, but I love the UFC model where they're all in-house and they all just fight whoever or they're out. I love it. And they've got one belt.
But they're not making they're locking the money up.
No.
They're locking the money up.
I know.
They pay boxing money.
Yeah, it's disgraceful what they pay their fighters. All right, point number 3, and this is again on the belts sanctioning body madness. Now, I suppose what I'm talking about there is there's new. I don't understand there's new divisions, but the amount of belts that are out there at the moment, probably as more as of a fan, I just can't keep track of it anymore. Who's the champion and who's not, and who's the one in recess, and who's the interim one, and who's the silver, and who's the gold, and who's the super, and who's all the franchise and all this sort of stuff. Again, I understand the way it works, but Pete, I'll go to you first because it's about probably George Cambosos, the one I'm probably talking about. The fact that he beat Lopez, and there's still that little asterisk there about the WBC thing, that is bullshit. He is the undisputed lightweight champion of the world, and because Devin Haney was pretty much handed it to him, and George is the franchise champion. I mean, come on. I don't understand how it all works. But what do you think?
Look, George is the undisputed lightweight champion.
But he has got that asterisk.
He beat the man, and he beat the man.
But he's not the undisputed champion in officially in the eyes of the WBC. He's a franchise champion, but he's not the real champion. How does that work?
Yeah, but he's got the belts of the other three organisations. So, I mean, that carries him to the number one guy in the division.
Technically, he's not the undisputed champion. Technically. We all know he is, but that's what I'm saying.
He's a ring magazine. Ring magazine is better than the belts.
Yeah.
Ring magazine is better than all the belts now.
Yeah.
Fury's got one belt, mind you, and Ussy's got three. But Fury we regard as number one. It's about the ring belt now.
Well,
going back to...
Sorry, but I was just going to say... Doesn't that just highlight what I'm saying? That the belt of a magazine is seen as the belt over the sanctioning body themselves. Doesn't that highlight or underline what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, 100%. Well, going back to the WBC franchise, Lomachenko had the WBC belt. Of course, he didn't want to defend it against Haney. I think, of course, he was going for undisputed with Lopez. They wrote to Haney an email and said, "You're now champion."
Yeah.
So if they hadn't took it off him and made him a franchise, Loma would have took that belt into the Lopez fight, which would have went over to the Cambosis fight. Yeah. Because of that, it's WBC's fault. They should never have took that off or made him a franchise and then made a... It's all money, Lyndon. They make hundreds of thousands of dollars, and some guys, they don't pay it. They say, "Fuck you, we're not paying the sanctioning fee."
Yeah. Again, I understand the way it works, Pete. And again, you know, we've got our promoters' hats on here. We've got to have, and I understand the sanctioning bodies want to have the sanctioning fees they need to survive. But do you think that even though they're making all the money by sanctioning whatever they can make up, basically, because as I said earlier, there's no belt on the line, they'll just make one up. I've been on there's at one stage there was a WBA East-West title, whatever the hell that is. But do you think they're actually just cheapening their own titles by doing this? What do you think?
Sometimes it kind of beats the politics of it, and it bridges a gap because there's a lot of things that happen and you can't actually get the fight happening. And no, look, I think boxing's heading in the right direction. Obviously, we need to really monitor it a bit better. But I basically think we're going really well. I think it's very strong at the moment. I think boxing's been the strongest it's been in the last decade, not only in Australia but across the world as well.
I just think, and I know it's never going to happen, boxing is such a great spot at the moment, how much better it would be if we can clean up this mess of titles. And I know it's not going to happen, I understand that, but as a fan, I just think it would be so much better. Well, let's move on to point number 4. Tassie, fighters, social media followers over fans. They that probably should read fights, but it's all about social media likes and followers. I mean, and this was highlighted when I think it was Devin Haney and it might have been Davis or or Garcia. They're at war about how many freaking followers they have, not about their legacy or who they've beaten, what titles they've won. It's about how many social media followers they've got. Is this an upside down world I'm in here?
It's what I hate about the sport. I think I might have sent any rants before. Look, as I said, like most of the guys, and a lot happens in Australia a lot, they give too much time to their fucking Instagram, all they worry about followers, all that shit. Mate, we trained in the dungeon. There was no cameras. There was nothing unless, we fought for trophies. We fought for medals. You turn pro. You just want to fight. All this, it's the same as the girls getting the big collagen lips and the big fake bums. Guys are doing it now, and it's a joke. I mean, it's just, I hate everything about, as I said, about this generation, not just boxing. This young generation, they're a joke. And on the boxers, most of the boxers today, the way they carry on, it's just, I'm all about self-promotion because I've no one was better at it than me, and there was no social media. I just promoted myself in Tassie and done a great job. But yeah, it's just it's beyond the joke, Lyndon. They're just like I get over it, mate. I really get over it.
Well, Pete, I'll probably emphasise this by saying as well that it's not about having a big social media presence. In this day and age, you need it. You need to promote yourself. You need to market yourself. You need to get yourself out there. What I'm probably getting at more than anything is when you choose this whole choose this fight because it's better for social media followers, and rather than pick the fight, to keep your followers happy and get more fans and be undefeated, all this sort of stuff, over the fans who want to see you win big fights. And my opinion is, I respect fighters more, whether win or lose, that fight the big fights, and not about how many social media fans and all this sort of stuff. What do you think?
Well, who you're talking about in particular? Let's name some names. Who's the one? Who's a culprit?
Ryan Garcia is probably one.
Yeah, apart from him.
In the world scene.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Tassie? Look, I don't know.
There's a guy called Rolly Ramirez.
Rolly Ramirez is
flogger.
Yeah, but he's whatever with him and Ryan Garcia. But I'm saying Canelo doesn't do it. No. Crawford doesn't do it. You know, all the big players don't do it.
Yeah.
Crawford's probably anti-social media. That's
what
been
about
his.
Australia, Lyndon?
Well, who does it in Australia?
No,
yeah,
I was just going to say, I don't think there's anyone that would rather have the social media. I mean, the obvious one to target here is probably like an Ebony Bridges, but at least she's saying, hey, I'll put my hand up and I will fight the big fight. So that's a little bit different. Even Kabakeo, he markets himself, and he's explained it here on our show, that I do it because I need the sponsorship, it's ticket sales, it's fans. I've got no problems with that, because at the same time he's saying, yep, bring it on, I'll fight those big fights. I suppose I'm looking at more the bigger scale, and you're right, Ryan Garcia is probably the main one I'm looking at, who it's all about. And who was he having the argument with, Tassie? Was it Davis he was having the argument with, who had more followers?
Yeah, I think Davis and...
That was probably the one thing I was looking at the most. I mean, you guys, you're sitting there with this petty little argument about who's got more followers. How about you talk about who's fought the better fighters and who's won the bigger fights, and more importantly, when you guys are actually going to fight each other. I just thought it was...
Yeah, I don't think Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns would have been doing that back in the day if this was different. You know what I mean? But look, it's the way it is these days. Brian Garcia, and he can fight, mind you.
Yeah, he can.
He's like a Kim Kardashian of boxing. Like he's probably more well known than any lightweight champion, including George, Loma, Haney. He's probably the biggest name of them all.
Well, Pete, on Ryan Garcia and Cambosis, one of his points was actually saying, I deserve the fight because I have more followers than such and such and such and such. That was his reasoning, not because of the fighters he's fought. It's because he's got more social media followers. I understand it's eyeballs on the event and pay-per-views, but surely this is not the age we're living in now, where it's based. You got to fight based on how many social media followers you have. It is the age we're living on the internet. I don't have to like it though, Pete.
Look at Logan Paul and all those guys. They're earning a living out of this.
Sick.
You know, I mean, look, it is what it is. Yeah. They're all going to get their opportunity. Garcia's going to get his shot sooner or later. He's young. He's going to keep winning. He's going to get his shot. And we'll see how good he is.
Yeah, well, all these points are probably more me having a bit of a whinge more than anything, but I'm going to keep going with number 5.
So you took over my Tassie tirade.
This is Lyndon's tirade / the talking points. Money over legacy. Look, and I understand the way it is, but some of these fighters that are, will take the big money fight over legacy fights, and this is not. I understand they're professional fighters and they go through a hell of a lot in their careers and they deserve to get paid. But the days of the Haglers and Durans and these types of guys looks like they're well and truly over, because they didn't fight just for money. They obviously wanted to get paid, but it was about legacy. And I think these days fighters would rather be rich and have no legacy than be semi-rich and have a good legacy.
I've got one thing to say to all TikTokers and OnlyFans and all social media.
Yeah. Pete, someone like a Canelo is the obvious exception here, because he gets the big money, but he's also after legacy, which is why he goes up the divisions and wins all his titles, and that's no drama. But I don't know. Again, this is me having a whinge about going back to the good old days of when they fought for legacy.
Let's just go Anthony Mundine. I mean, he had to do those last fights. Didn't get big money, but what did they damage his legacy? Get knocked out by Michael Zerafa in one round and
maybe they
stuff
did.
Like that. What I'm trying to say is, look at Amir Khan recently. I mean, he got paid close to 10 million. He got knocked out or got stopped. Does it damage his legacy?
Well,
I don't know. I mean, look,
Roy Jones is the other one, and I think it has.
Yeah, does that damage his legacy?
Yeah, I think it has.
Yeah, it's hard when you put pay packets in front of real fighters because all they want to do is fight and they believe in themselves, and it's hard to turn that type of challenger money down. So
it's more so
legacy.
Yeah,
is what it's what the other person perceives of you. Reality is, boxers fight and do what they want to do for themselves. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, no, you're right. Again, it's just me having a whinge about the state of boxing in the world. But
fight duds, get an unbeaten record, never fight anyone, retire with no money. What's your legacy?
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's the balancing act. But I mean, there's the Canelos and Mayweathers and Pacquiaos of the world that have money and legacy. That's great. But
they're superstars, so they're movie stars. Not everyone that goes on a film set is, is going to be Brad Pitt, are they? A few people have to be extras.
You're right there. As I said, I just long for the days of the Tysons and Haglers and these types of guys where it was just about legacy.
But Tyson ruined his legacy as well at the end.
He did, yeah.
So
to
what's
some
the
extent.
matter?
Yeah, no, you're right. He did to some extent. So anyway, only time will tell with those guys, I suppose, with Roy Jones Jr. and Anthony Mundine and all these.
The bottom line is, Lyndon, it's always about the cash.
I know. That's
if
why
you want to be a big boy or a little boy, don't matter. In any industry you're in, it's always about the cash.
Yeah. Well, you're right, and that's why.
Doesn't matter if it's boxing or you own buildings or you own nightclubs or you own boutique shops. It's always about the cash.
Yep. That's why it's. Yep. You're right. No, 100%.
That's life.
Doesn't mean I got to like it, Pete. All right.
No.
Here we go. That's Lyndon's talking point / tirade. Sorry, Taj, we haven't got room time for you tonight. We're going to get straight into the main event. It is the boxing deep dive quiz. We didn't have it last week because Pete was hobnobbing at the fights. This week, Grant Tassie Brown against Pistol Peter Maniatis in the quiz.
Pistol.
Right. Pistol Pete. All right, guys, you know the rules here. We've got 10 questions, 5 Aussie questions to start, and then we've got 5 international questions after that. One of them is a who am I. When I ask the question, if you call your name out, you'll get a chance to answer it. If you get it wrong, the other person gets a free crack at it. There's no second goes. Once you're out, you're out. And my word is final as far as who went first, so disregard your delay that might be in place. All right, boys, are we ready? Number 1, this is for the Aussie questions. What round did Jeff Horn refer to as his bogey round?
Yeah.
Tassie.
Round 9.
Yes, round 9. He got rocked by Pacquiao and almost stopped, and he got stopped by Zerafa and Crawford and almost Zerafa a second time in the 9th round. Number 2, how many successful defences did Barry Michael make of his IBF title? Tassie?
2.
Nah. Pete? Successful.
3.
Yep. 3 successful defences. Jinsik Choi, Mark Fernandez, and Najib Daho. And a shout out to Barry, who probably is not watching, but if you are, I hope you're feeling a lot better after your operation.
Oh, yeah, Barry. No, I think he's all right now. I think he's all right.
Good stuff. All right. Who was Jeff Harding's final fight against?
Tassie.
Peter!
Tassie?
Mike McCallum.
It was in 1994 where he lost his WBC light heavyweight title. So that's 2-1 for Tassie. We'll see how you go in this one. Who did Jeff Malcolm lose to in his one and only world title fight?
Tassie.
Peter!
Tassie?
Fuck. Pass.
Pete?
Rory Galloway.
Incorrect. Manning Galloway was his name. He lost to him in 1991.
I thought his nickname was Rory.
Yeah, his real name was Manning Galloway. 91 for the WBO welterweight title it was at the time.
It was.
I didn't actually know that.
Dana Goodson trained
did he?
Jeff Malcolm for it. Yeah. His nickname was Rory, so I mucked that one up, but I knew it was Galloway.
And another very underrated Aussie fighter was Jeff Malcolm. Probably doesn't get
great fighter. Yeah, great.
Had some rounds with Jeff in the time, in my time, and he is one of the most awkward fighters you could ever be in the ring with. All right, last Aussie question. What were the names of the 2 Jansen brothers?
Tassie.
Peter.
Tassie.
Graham. Graham and Brian.
Incorrect. Peter?
Graham and Wilf.
No, it was Mark and Brian. Mark Jansen
Okay.
and Brian Jansen.
I thought you said Jensen. Sorry.
No, Jansen. Yep. I
Oh.
could probably see how you're confused with that because it's Will Jensen, another underrated Aussie boxer back in the day.
Went to the Kronk Gym as well.
Oh, did he? He
German
was a
descent.
superstar as an amateur. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember watching him in
He
Melbourne
was
as
the
a
amateur.
youngster.
Yeah.
All right, so I think was it still 2-1? I think it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, into the international questions. Who was the first fighter to take Mike Tyson the distance?
Peter.
Tassie.
Tony Tucker.
Incorrect. Pete.
James Bone Crusher Smith.
Incorrect. It was James Quick Tillis in 1986.
Oh yeah. Good.
Yeah. And he had
I thought you
back-to-back
meant in a world title
decision
fight.
wins. He beat
Yeah.
Mitch Green in his fight after that. So after 19 or 20 straight knockouts, I think it was. Still 2-1. All right. What round did Marvin Hagler knock out John Mugabe?
Tassie. Round 10.
Incorrect. Peter.
Round 12.
Incorrect. 11. He knocked him out in.
Oh.
Still 2-1. I'm glad that I've actually got a few that I've stumped you with this time. Normally it's just bang, bang, bang. 2-1. All right. This is I'm not sure it's a hard one. We'll see how we go. How old was Salvador Sanchez when he died?
Peter. 24.
Incorrect. Tassie.
20.
Incorrect. 23. 23. Yep. He made 9 defences of his world featherweight title at the age of 23. So,
Yeah,
what a
20.
loss.
I said 24. I knew
Yep.
23.
Still 2-1. All right, this is an interesting one. Who did Edwin Rosario beat to win the WBA lightweight title? You have the WBC belt?
Tassie.
Yes, Tassie.
Roger Mayweather.
Incorrect. Peter, free shot at it.
Greg Houghton.
Incorrect. It was Livingston Bramble. He lost to Camacho, and then 3 months later, he beat Livingston Bramble in 2 rounds to win the WBA title.
That was close against Camacho.
He got ripped, I thought. I thought it was very close. So, well, he didn't get ripped, but it was a very close fight.
He hurt him. Had him hurt.
Yep, had him rocked. So, yeah, and 3 months later, he won the WBA title. Still 2-1. Who am I? I was born on September the 2nd, 1965. I had a stellar amateur career that included winning an Olympic gold medal at the 1988 Olympics. After 21 fights, I was crowned...
Yeah.
Yes, Peter.
Roy Jones Jr.
Incorrect. Tassie, you get all the clues here. After 21 fights, I was crowned a world champion by the WBC without actually winning the title in the ring. After 4 defences, I lost the title in a major upset before regaining the title 3 years later in the rematch. After failing to unify the title because of a controversial draw, I finally became the undisputed champ in the rematch later that year. I lost the title 3 fights later in another major upset, but again regained the title in the rematch.
Lennox Lewis.
Well done. 3-1. I can't believe the a time where we've had 6 incorrect answers, boys. So,
well, Galloway was
3 straight victories.
Is that 3 straight?
Yeah.
3 straight, baby.
But who's
Tassie. That's why 3 straight when I won the first one, but it's 3 straight. You don't count your losses. That's good to see.
What the movie one? The movie one.
Yeah.
Are we counting that
I was
one?
still boxing questions.
Oh, well, two in a row then, mate. 2 in a row.
That was that. Well,
Oh, you're pretty tough, Lyndon, where you wouldn't give me the nickname and the surname Rory Galloway.
Yeah, I did.
That
I did
was-
some research. I did some
Is that-
research on him,
listen,
and it didn't mention the
Peter,
nickname.
Peter, let's not do the many shoulder thing. Let's just take the loss like a man, and we'll be fine.
The Salvador Sanchez one I'm spewing on because
Yeah.
I knew he was 23. I don't know why I said 20.
Well, you go through them. What was it? The Jeff Malcolm one, of course. I didn't mention anything about his nickname being Rory, so it was just Manning. That the two Jansen brothers was a close one. The Mike Tyson one, the Hagler one, the Salvador Sanchez one. Were all within one.
The Tyson one was a good one.
The distance
that was
one,
a good one.
We both went. He got us a few times and then we both.
Well, you've been too good. I had to do something to trip you up, so I thought I'll throw in a few sneaky ones there.
But it doesn't matter. Tassie's still the king.
He is. Yep.
Yeah.
You handed it to him on the platter with that last one, though, Pete. The Lennox Lewis one. You gave him pretty much the whole question.
Jumped in, didn't he? He really jumped in.
No, I thought I'd just jump because, look, from where I'm, the Jeff Horn 9th round and those ones.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as Lyndon finishes a question, we both jump. They're kind of like you got to jump the mark to get the lead. So
the Lennox Lewis one, if you remember, I said that included winning an Olympic gold medal. Roy Jones didn't win a
gold medal.
Won
I
the
know.
silver.
I wasn't
won the gold,
concentrating.
of course, but yeah, he won the silver.
He won silver and he lost to that Korean.
Yeah, South Korean. Oh, South Korean. Yeah.
Then that changed the rules of the whole system.
So that bloody should have. Talk about bloody corrupt officials, or that highlighted. But all right, boys. Well, I think we've covered everything there tonight. I'm hoping next week we have some news on Tim Zhu and maybe even George Kambosos. Who knows what No Limit's going to announce in the next week? Every week they seem to have some big announcement.
Who knows, mate?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I'm sure D&L will step the game up pretty soon with the Jaya Pattaya promotion. Some of the undercard fights, no doubt, will get announced. Obviously, we've got Zerafa Hardman, which should start to hopefully pick up some momentum. So there's plenty going on. So, great episode there, guys. Congratulations, Tassie, on the win. And
I'm going to
well
go
done,
celebrate now.
Well done.
I've got a bottle of Moe.
No, it was a crap performance tonight. I think everyone was off.
Yeah.
I think it was a good one. Yeah. Only 4 of the 10 answered. That's not good enough.
No, it's
I'm going to open the Moe.
No, good stuff. Good stuff, guys. Appreciate you coming on. If you're out there watching, like, share, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. We love the feedback.
Guys, Boxing Deep Dive.
Yeah, Boxing Deep Dive. Love the comments. Love the feedback. It's been great so far. So look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks again, guys.
See you guys.
See you, boys.